this story might be a little bit raw. We were about 10 weeks pregnant and excited to tell the world. And on the day we were about to tell the world, we saw signs something wasn't right. And we were pretty sure we were about to lose our new child. And we decided to tell people anyway, because we didn't want to not tell people, and then no one knows, and then we'd be grieving alone. So I told people in church that Sunday, as my wife drove out to the ER. I don't know why we separated from one another that day. We should have been together, but we did the best we could. And most people were great. Most people were wonderful. Most people said the best things, which was usually nothing. But there are a few people who are really well-intentioned, but said the most hurtful things. They came over next to me and they said, "You know, everything happens for a reason. And God has a plan. There's a special place in heaven for those babies. I know what you're going through." And I bit my tongue. I wanted to say, "No, you don't know what I'm going through. You had a similar experience, but it's not my experience." When they said everything happens for a reason, or you just need to trust God, or don't worry, you're young, you'll have a chance for another, I wanted to scream, "No!" Because I was going through something. In today's message, we're exploring the story of Job, where Job was going through something. And he had some well-meaning friends. But they didn't always say what needed to be said. And in fact, they often said the exact wrong things. The story of Job is written in such a way that it almost seems like it's supposed to answer that question of where is God when everything goes wrong? Job loses everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. All of it. Family, possessions, security, hope for the future. He loses everything. He loses his health. And so you think the question's going to come up. Where is God when all of this happens? And Job, what does Job do? He cries out to God and he says, "This is not fair." Have you ever said that? He cries out to God and says, "This is not fair, God. I've followed you. I've been faithful." And the way that people have explained what it means to be a follower of God is this: if I'm doing the right thing, then certain things shouldn't happen to me. I've been told that if you are a good and just God, then bad things won't happen to me. In fact, good things will happen to me. Bad things happen to people who do evil. And good things happen to people who do good. I don't deserve this, God. And he has 3 friends. And they come because they heard their friend is hurting. Like most friends, they don't really know what to do. They actually start out right, maybe on accident. They start out by just sitting with Job. Just sitting, just being there, being present. Isn't that what we need when we're going through something? But then they hear him speak. And he says, "God, I curse the day I was born. God, I curse this creation that you've made because it's not functioning the way it should. Because there's so much wrong in it. God, I deserve an answer from you. God, I'm not sure if you're even a good God anymore. And his friends couldn't bite their tongues. And they answer him. And the story of Job goes back and forth between Job expressing his outrage at God, his outrage at life, and his friends telling him how wrong he is, denying his experience, saying, maybe you deserve this. Maybe this is really your fault. Maybe you're not as good as you think you are, because God is a just God. They say everything happens for a reason, Job. Don't you have faith? Job, you shouldn't say those things. And they go back and forth, and Job gets more and more and more indignant until finally he cries out to heaven and he says, God, you need to answer me. I deserve an answer. Come and speak to me face to face. And then God does. It's a fun story. It's a fascinating story. God comes and speaks to Job face to face and says, where were you when the foundations of the earth were laid? God says, Job, you think that you can control the universe. You think you'd do better than I would. Let's see you try for one day. Can you even help the lion to find its meal? Can you help the bird to care for its young? Can you do any of it? And Job finally responds with humility of saying, you know what? I still don't understand why do bad things happen. But I understand that I don't understand. And sometimes that's enough. And then God says this. Job has been speaking rightly to me. He says it to all of his friends as well. God says, Job has been doing the right thing here. Because Job expressed his own experience. He didn't butter it up. He didn't slim it down. He didn't make it simpler than it is. Job cried out to me when he was struggling. Job spoke rightly. So what do you do when your friend is going through something? What do you say? What do you not say? I think of it a lot like this boat. My friend Paul Hope is building a canoe. He told me about it, and I had to see it. He's building this canoe, and when I came out here, he said, now it's not done yet. I know it's not done. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's not ready to be put on the water. It might not have any leaks in it, but it's still not ready. It's a work in progress. Just like all of us, right? So when your friend is going through something, it's okay to just acknowledge that their situation and how they're processing it is a work in progress. Don't come along and try and fix it. Well, how terrible would it be if I came over here to see this boat and said, oh, you know what, Paul? The deck isn't on yet. Oh, you know what, Paul? You don't have the seat on yet. Of course he doesn't. It's a work in progress. He's building a boat. The same way for your friend. We don't need to criticize. We don't need to try and fix it. We don't need to say, hey, here, let me help you. I'll explain to you how to put the deck on. You know what? For my friend, I'm not the boat builder. That's the reality. For my friend, with what they're going through, it's not my responsibility to fix this boat. For my friend, with what they're going through, you know whose responsibility it is to take care of them, to fix what they're going through, to help them process through all this, to get to where they're going? The boat builder's job. They're a work in progress, just like this boat is a work in progress. I'm not the boat builder. So I don't need to try and fix them. And I sure don't need to deny what they're going through. To say, oh, you know what? Wow, look at this. You know what? It's pretty much all done. I'd say let's just take it out today. Why deny that? They know they're going through something hard. So I don't need to come up to a friend and say, oh gosh, I know you think you're going bad, but it'll all turn out. I know you think this is hard, but everything happens for a reason, so don't worry. Because what it really says is, I don't care. And I don't want to hear about it. When we dismiss what the other person's going through, when we try and fix what they're going through, when we do that, we aren't actually doing it for their sake. We're not doing it to make them feel better. We think we are. We're doing it to make ourselves feel better. To alleviate our own distress of seeing our friend go through something. What would be a lot better is to come alongside them, come alongside of their situation, come alongside of this boat, and pay attention. Ask our friend to tell us about it. They'll tell us about how the deck board isn't on there yet. And they might say, I have a plan for working on it. Or they might say, I'm not sure how I'm going to put that on there yet. They might talk about how they still have to get the fiberglass on. And how eventually you'll be able to see right through that. But right now it's not there yet. It's not time. Pay attention. Listen. Ask, what's your experience in this? What's hard about this for you? And then repeat back what they tell you. Name it. Simply say, you're right. That part's not there yet. Because it's not our job to fix it. Our job is to be there with the person on their journey. Because we're a friend. And we have complete faith and confidence that God's going to help see them through this. But we don't need to dismiss what they're going through. We don't need to try and fix it. Our role is to be there. Just like Job spoke rightly. When he cried out to God and said, God, this isn't fair. A good friend comes along and says, you know what? This is really hard. And you know what? This doesn't make sense. And I'm on the journey with you. So this is true with your own friendships. This is also true in your small groups. You have a small group. You have your group of 3, 4, 5 people who you're doing life with, who you're in the struggles of life with, and we're all going through something. And so when someone in your group says, here's what I'm going through, we don't need to try and deny that they're going through that. We don't need to try and fix it, and we sure don't need to compare it. Oh, I'll tell you what I've been going through. No, we just listen. We repeat back what we heard. We say, we're in it with you. What do you need? And you know how long it takes? It takes as long as it takes to listen, to see the person through the situation they're in, to build the boat. My friend Paul, he says, I've been working on this boat since August, and I thought I'd be a lot further along now, and yet, look at the progress. This is gorgeous. In the same way, whatever your friend is going through, wherever they're at in the journey, whoever the people in your group are struggling with, God is making something beautiful there. And if you feel like Job, and you feel like you just can't get through to the other side, that's just not fair. No. Just know that you can cry out to God. And God's not going to reject you. And God's not going to say, stop saying this. Instead, when you cry out to God and you say what's on your heart to God, God will look at you, look into your eyes, and love you, and say, you're speaking rightly to me. Keep talking.